Sir, we welcome Mr. Manideep Bikina, our next speaker of the session for the same Careers of Future. Sir, let me give you a brief introduction of you. Mr. Mandeep Bikina graduated from PEC in 2008 from the Department of Triple E. He is presently working as a product manager Microsoft Hyderabad. So he has helped ideate, build and scale multiple 0 to 1 platform products and experience in consumer tech, ed tech and fintech spaces, working for fast growing startups. So he's someone who believes in empowering people to become a better version of themselves using technology. And not only that, he's also a 2011 graduate from the IIM Ahmedabad. So basically, he was a electrical engineer in PEC, and then he was a software programmer and a C++ programmer before joining the business school, thus acing the multidisciplinary outlook completely. It was indeed a pleasure to introduce you, sir. Now, I respectfully hand over the platform to you.
Thank you, Rahul. So I think as usual with MBAs, I'll just use a desk presentation to walk you through this. So I'll just quickly share my screen. Sorry. Just give me a minute. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll just. So I think hi folks, hi everyone. Nice connecting with all of you today. Yeah, like Ram said, it's kind of odd that I'm not able to see any of you. So when Shanti ma'am and then later Najmu reached out and now asked me to talk about careers of future, I think I just remembered one book I was reading sometime ago on 21 Lessons for 21st Century, and I kind of went. I remember there was a chapter on work, and I thought, who else other than like a historian to talk about who read through like last hundreds of years and kind of thought through what is going to come in the next 100 years and what does he think about work. And the first line on the work chapter opens up like this: we have no idea what the job market will look like in 2050. So to be frank, there are a lot of themes that are coming up these days about AI, about data, about the way technology is kind of replacing some things, technology is supplementing something, complementing some things, and more. I think there's a lot of like openness around this. Will virtual reality be next thing? Will AI be next thing? Will something else, some other technology? But whatever said and then, I thought probably this 15-minute commentary would not justice, or even I don't have kind of experience enough to comment on what will be the next career of future. But I thought I'll instead talk about two things. I thought I'll just give some gyan based on what I understand are skills needed, or kind of flavors of the jobs of the next 20 years or so, and then also introduce you to kind of like a job or a career that I kind of ended up after multiple iterations and kind of going in an interesting circuitous way, kind of I landed up on this career or profession called product management. I want to briefly introduce so that each of you can Google and kind of learn more about this and then see if it kind of meets your interest. This is kind of two agendas that I'm kind of looking at covering today. So, like on the first part, I'm kind of like giving you some broad gyan. So I think the one important thing of flavor of careers of next decade will be something called group size equal to 1. So something I call group size equal to 1, which is like true personalization. So for example, when you listen to a playlist on Spotify, so when you kind of play songs on Spotify, do you ask what are the 10 good songs I should play today? Do you ask a senior and understand, hey, what are the good songs to listen? Like, what is the right song to listen? There is no right song to listen. Whatever you like, your interests, your likes and dislikes, your past listening experience, your listening history. Based on that, you get like a personalized playlist that suits your requirement. Similarly, on Netflix, so like when you open Netflix and try to play a movie, you don't think about, hey, what is the right movie to watch? You think about what is the movie that I'll enjoy. You'll not think about what is the right movie to watch. I think something like this will happen for careers as well. So there's no right career. There is no career that 100 people pursue. So every person's career journey arc will be individualized. So like today you hear kids saying, "Hey, I want to become a YouTube star." So that's pretty much a healthy career to pursue. There's money, there's fame, there is learning, there is a value, there is something that you want to give back to society. So every the multiple career options are evolving, and it's truly personalized. So one person's journey is kind of his or her own. So that's one flavor that will be in careers of the next decade. So and this actually has an interesting side effect, which is like lesser fear and anxiety. So there is no laid out path that you have to trace and cross. So it's all about what you like, what you prefer, what do you think are your personal values and strengths, and then how do you want to kind of make the best use of it. That's kind of the one theme that I want to emphasize on. The next one is about learning to learn. So whatever the area that you will be looking at, be it IT, be it mechanical, be it civil, be it construction. So every industry will have a few iterations in the next 2 decades. So they'll have versions, they'll have 1.0s, 2.0s, 3.0s. They'll be revamped. So they'll be relearning and things like that. So I think the one key thing will be learning to learn. A couple of things that I want to point out or kind of call out when I talk about learning to learn is this whole notion of drinking from the tap versus filling the tank. So today's world, it's not about, hey, what are the 10 things to fill my tank? It's not that. So it's like the world is kind of switching into problem first. So what problem do I need to solve? And to solve that problem, what are the tools that I need to kind of equip myself with? And then having the growth mindset saying that, hey, if I want to solve this problem and if I want to kind of equip myself with these toolkits, how do I have the confidence that I can learn and grow and kind of adopt those new tools? Having that confidence in yourself and knowing that you can equip new tools is going to be the key flavor of this the careers of future. The other nuance is about like is about kind of this interesting concept called mental models. All of you should read about it. This is very interesting blog called Fernham Street. I kind of put a link there. I probably can send it. Which is kind of so knowledge no more is like a table of content. It's more like a lattice work. It's like so you never know like what concept in your electrical engineering works to solve a problem in say social world versus what you learned in something in a chemistry lab can help to solve some other problem in a construction companies facing. So there's no serial list of things that will kind of work. So kind of world is becoming a more lattice work, kind of a 3D model where like you don't know what application, like something you learned in physics can help you do well in stock markets for all we know. So this kind of commingling of all functions and zones and things like that. So these are some of the flavors. I think each of this has its own juice to kind of talk about in a long session. So I'll not get into depth. So I'm just leaving you with thoughts to Google upon after the session. So that's my objective for today. So another thing that I want to talk. I just want to check my connection. Hope everything is all right. There's no. Rahul, just quick.
Yes.
Okay, if you're able
Yes,
to.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, another thing I want to talk about is the whole commingling of hard and soft skills. So today, so the older days, hard skills are seen as, hey, these are like programming, like being able to install an electrical machine, being able to construct a building. These are seen as hard skills. And being like doing well in at the workplace, like the communication aspect, these are all seen as like the definition of soft skills. And somehow there is understanding that hard skills are like non-negotiable, and soft skills can be improved and kind of are okay to slowly build and things like that. But the definition is changing. So hard skills are no more like hard because there's a lot of nuances coming up. So a coder, like so in today's world, when you kind of evaluate a coder, you don't just look at, hey, is he kind of like is being able to write a code the right skill, or is being able to learn how to code, is being able to like understand the nuances of like what the way you code versus long-term maintainability. So a lot of softer aspects creeping into hard skills, and at the same time there are a lot of harder aspects creeping into soft skills. So there are certain things like communication, collaboration are becoming core hard requirements of some jobs, including the job I do, product management. So there is this whole definition of soft and hard skills. I think is no more gonna work. These words will become archaic. So there's nothing called hard skill and a soft skill. Every job will need a set of skills, and how you kind of what skills are. Yeah. So I think these words are getting commingled. So don't think of something as a hard skill and something as a soft skill. Start looking at the problem and what skills are needed, and kind of think in an integrated way about what's needed to kind of ride the next wave of careers and work. Another point that kind of I've noticed personally, and I've seen people talk about it. So a lot of things are becoming more than one. So it's no more one interest or passion. It's no more one job at a time. It's no more even one innings. So if you start your career as something, and like previously it used to be, hey, let me kind of climb this ladder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm done. I'll retire with that. So it's kind of world is evolving into a lot of people are taking second innings of life. Even the kind of if you kind of trace widely known people very successful, like became CEOs of the company, they finished their innings 1 and started innings 2 in philanthropy, and or people kind of completely pivoting their careers to do something else because they always wanted to do so it's no more a career or a job or an innings of one. So there's a lot of multiplicity creeping into work and career and passions. So that's another thing I want to talk about. So this is the first part of, like, I just want to give some gyan on the flavors. Second part, I will be very brief. I think I'll probably just spend 3-4 minutes to introduce you to this. There's a lot of material you can find when you Google, and it's kind of a broad topic to even talk about or commentary, like give commentary on in 3-4 minutes. But I'll just introduce you because I personally enjoyed this as a the path I'm currently riding on, and I just want to introduce so that some of you can think about pursuing this and kind of think about it. So what is product management, right? So product management is I think some of you would have heard, is basically, simply put, understanding what people want in a product, what is desirable, working with technical side of things to understand the feasibility, working with business side of things to understand the viability, and using lots of data to take decisions, and kind of mixing all these and building products that people love and scaling them up so that businesses derive value from it. So that's kind of put product management in a gist, right? So that kind of, like, this is one, the reason I kind of use that as a early presentation to lead into this is because this is one profession where there's a lot of these hard, soft skills. There is no boundary. There's like what do product managers do all day, right? So we spend a lot of time talking to customers, understanding their needs, kind of immersing with their day-to-day lives, their kind of journeys, and then collaborating internally with multiple teams, be it engineering, be it marketing, be it legal, like working with all the teams to ensure that there is kind of clarity, and a lot of communication comes here. So communication becomes like a hard skill in this collaboration aspect, and kind of probably that's what product managers are paid for mostly, and the whole definition part. So once you understand what customers want, and once you collaborate with different teams to get clarity and kind of alignment on how do you define the product, basically, how do you ensure the right specifications are captured, how do you ensure the design is right, how do you ensure the finer details are crafted well, working with design teams, working with engineering teams, and so on and so forth. And last thing is about execution. So the program management aspect of it, how do you ensure that the rhythm of the business is maintained, how do you ensure continuous shipping happens, how do you ensure the cadence of the heart of the business is on track. So like there's multiple flavors of what PMs do all day, I think, and these flavors vary. These flavors vary based on the business a company is in. So it can be a B2B company working to serve enterprises, so like selling software to another enterprise. Like it can be selling, like making a consumer facing app, say like an Instagram or a Spotify. It can be working with a small startup who just hasn't raised their Series A fund, and you're working on a product market fit, to working on a large company which already had a product market fit and a large product, and then scaling it up. It can be, the emphasis also can vary from company to company. There are some product manager roles which are like more business oriented, and some which are more technical oriented, some which have more domain depth. So the flavors are different. So as you look at these career options and think about them, just think about this angle as well. And okay, this is something that probably will interest most of you. So now, like, you go and read about PM, you research what a PM does, which is an enigma. You'll spend some time to exactly understand what we do. Once you understand that and you finally decide, hey, you want to become one, what are the routes? So there are multiple routes, and like, so be a product manager is one true profession where there is no a particular persona of people that come and land up there. So you'll have like a very fragmented kind of people coming from all backgrounds. So you'll see programmers turning into product managers. You'll see someone who's done sales and marketing turn into product managers. That's like me personally. I was doing sales before landing into product management. You see designers kind of evolving into product managers, or some companies taking students from college as business analysts who would initially work on kind of more from a user requirement and customer requirement side of things, or program management side of things, and slowly evolving into product managers. Or some companies have associate product manager roles, which basically, which basically directly recruit fresh graduates as associate product managers and kind of prepare them to grow. Or sometimes it's true serendipity and kind of mix of things and where you land up and stuff like that. So like, keep your start your research, start thinking about so if some of you are interested in this as a role, there's a lot you'll find on quick Google, or kind of searching for these jobs: product management, product analyst, associate product manager, business analyst. Searching for these jobs on LinkedIn will also give you some view of what this profession is like. But I just want to tie quickly the two parts that I spoke about. So the part one I spoke about is what are the skills that you would want to kind of shine in the next generation of jobs. And part two, I just quickly want to introduce you to product management and see if that suits you as a job that you would like. This I want to wrap and can lead over for questions. Hi Rahul, we can take questions now if there are any.
Yes, sir. I believe Manish has a question for both Ram sir and Manideep sir, both of you.
Morning. So Ram, do you want to take us?
No, please.
So there's something called T shape of skills. So when you think about skill, think about it as T shape, right? So and it varies from based on where you are in career. So I think the point about having more than one, don't kind of misconstrue it as, hey, don't have focus on what you do, just have more options. It's not a second option. The point is about when you do something, you put your head down and kind of put to the grind and do it well. But the point is more about, don't think that is the end of the world. There are possibilities which are open. If circumstances and situations and your personal interests align, take the next step is the point. But yeah, coming back to the skills part. So in the T-shaped curve, there are different parts of your career which will focus on the breadth versus depth. So probably when you're in initial days in career, depth is more important. So you want to be coming across as, if you're a programmer, you want to come across as the best damn programmer. If you are a business analyst, you want to come across as the best business analyst the team has. So put your head down and focus on the depth initially, but have your ears open to consume information of the breadth. So when you are a coder and coding, have your ears open to understand what customers are asking. Have your ears open to understand what the business side of things look like. Have your eyes open to understand what's the broader thing, what are the broader companies trying to achieve while you are coding a particular microservice. what is the overall machinery looking like. So like keeping the eyes open is important. And as you evolve, broadening the T, so with a strong hold. So even in product management, like when you say multidisciplinary, you need to have your legs in some strong hold. So you need to come across as good in something. Unless you're good or strong or great in something, being a generalist is important, but like having your feet grounded in something that you stand for is also important. So I think that think of it as a T and always keep thinking about where do I broaden my base of the T and where do I like deepen my base of the T and where do I broaden my reach. So like keep thinking your mind as a T basically.
Thank you, sir.
Just to add to that, Manish, I think that's great, sir. What you've summarized. Only one thing, Manish, is if you remember the theme that Manadeep was mentioning at the start, it depends on who you are and your personality. So there are certain people who get into being a specialist and really do a great job there. It depends again. I don't want to stereotype, but for example, if you're an introvert and you don't like talking to a lot of people, you need not develop a lot on people management or whatever. So you might be a specialist in that. For example, there are scientists who are really doing great in their career. Maybe they don't interact with a lot of people. Again, it depends on your nature and you have to see what suits you. That's why sir was talking about group size 1. So that matters a lot is what the only thing that I will add.
Totally agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, we have one more question for the both of you. Is working hard to secure a better future or living the moment? I mean, living the moment also. So how do you identify that fine line?
Okay. Should I take a hit or you want to take a first hit?
I'll just quickly put it in one word and then leave it to you. Okay. So from my perspective, Rahul, I always believe in whatever you're doing, you should love it. So again, unless you love it, please don't do it. And especially your career, when you are choosing it, choose a career which you would be happy about. So that's where whenever I talk to people or counsel people, I talk about 3 things: intent, content, and potent. So for any role that we are looking at, we should have the intentions first. The interest in that role should be there. Then obviously you have to check whether you have the required knowledge for that, the second part, and does that field have the potential or not? That's the third part. But the first part comes in, you should love and you should come back home and be happy about what you have done. And that might take some time. Don't try to, don't be unhappy that you didn't find it in your first job. I think all of us took a little time. Some of them crack it early, some of them crack it late. But probably 3 to 4 years into your working career, that's where keep your ears open in terms of what exactly are the other roles that are available and be adaptable to change. That's what I would put it. Sir, to you.
I just want to add one line to it, which is something called a concept called work like this. So people talk about work-life balance and kind of the question kind of falls somewhere there. So I kind of personally, there's another theory called work-life harmony. So you should read about it. So work-life balance, if you try to balance, you're always kind of competing 2 things. So your question is A versus B. So it's not A versus B, it's A fuels B and B fuels A. So if you have a healthy life, you have a good hobbies, you have a happy family, it'll fuel into your work. You will work better, you'll be a more efficient person at work. And the same thing happens the other way. If you have a healthy work and you enjoy your work in the day, you'll come back home and like stay happy with the kids. So I kind of strongly believe in work-life harmony. So each of this fuels the other things. It's not about that you have 10 hours. Do I do 6 hours for work and 4 hours for this? It's not a debate. It's not a fight. It's a how do you ensure you build both these parts of your life in such a way that they feed each other? Think about when you think about these problems, don't think of it as yin versus yang or devil versus good. So these kind of help each other. Yeah. That's what I just want to add. Think about it as one whole piece, and then see how will you ensure and build your system in such a way that they feed each other. Yeah. Thanks. I think there are no questions. Thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity. Thanks, Shanti ma'am. Thanks, Najmu and everyone to kind of enable this and comparing this.
We would like to thank both of you, sir, once again for this delightful session. It was really insightful listening to your thoughts, contemplating them, relating it with ourselves. I'm pretty sure most of it because we never know whom we inspire. Pretty sure many people will take your advice and get the best out of themselves. Thank you, sir. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you. And thanks for making me meet Mandeep sir after a long time. So thank you.
Hi, Ram. Okay. Okay, bye. We'll connect now separately. Okay.
Thank you guys. Bye.